Welcome to episode 8 of Primetime UGC. I'm Philbones, and with me, as usual, is What? Wait a minute. You're not Captain PF Dennis? Where is he? What have you done with him?
Cap couldn't make it. He had a previous engagement, so he asked me to fill in. I'm Mirror Captain P.F. Dennis, and we've got an awful show for you tonight, idiots. You all must be pathetic losers to be wasting your time.
What are you talking about? You don't come on this show and insult our audience. You didn't even tell them about our author interview with Duke of Rock, or the new commercial.
I suppose you'd like me to tell them about the news, and bug report, and feature request. How lame.
You're going to pay for that.
I'm paying already. I had a hookup planned with a couple of Mirror Vulcan twins. Instead, I'm here talking about this garbage.
Well, don't worry, everyone. I'll be back in a minute. Watch the intro while I dispose of this mirror scum.
Well, Larry, it's not going to be the same without you around. There aren't many of us true broadcasters left. I remember when you and I were in D.C. that spring covering Reagan's speech at the Hilton. Hinckley, what a crazy bastard, huh? That was journalism, though. Not this interweb crap. It's all sound bites now, Larry, am I right? I'm going to miss you, buddy, I mean it. Do me a favor, though. Slow down on the marriages for a while and let me catch up. I've only got 3 under my belt.
This week I combine the bugs and the news to monetize on time. This week, monetizing of Foundry, Foundry purchases still being reported as failed, and Cryptic cracks down on exploit-type mission. So this week, we have finally got new Foundry content, and while putting it blankly, it sucks. That's not to say that authors will not be able to do anything with the Utopian Planitia maps. Quite the contrary. Authors will find a way to make a butterfly from this ugly fat caterpillar. It's just, well, Cryptic, come on. Players are realizing that Foundry is becoming monetized with many new elements being worked on or added to Foundry which capitalize on C-store purchases or in-game monetary sinkholes, rather than mission editability. Foundry purchases are still being reported as failed, and as a promise to fix this nearly 3 months ago has not come into fruition, I doubt Cryptic's commitment to free-to-play Foundry. On a positive note, they have been cracking down on exploit missions, which are designed to grind Foundry dailies. As Kirkfat has said numerous times in the forums, put the dailies on a timer-based objective. That way the reward would be given on time within Foundry missions rather than missions played. Stay tuned for our interview with Duke of Rock and also a very special feature request.
In the Federation justice system, the people are represented by 2 separate yet equally important groups: the Starfleet officers who investigate violations, and the silicon-based life forms who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories. So I told my wife, look, if you need a new food replicator, I suggest you replicate a new one. It ain't like I'm on salary.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir, my friend. My third ex-wife used to pull that, and I'd give her the "we do this to better ourselves and the rest of humanity" speech.
And she bought that line?
Nah, that's why she's an ex. She left me for some upwardly mobile Orion. She's a slave these days, but I hear she can replicate a hell of a meatloaf.
Benny, look!
Geez, Ray, you want to slow down? I downed a swimming pool's worth of scotch since I won that high school track medal. Now what do we have here?
Looks like your Vic is one of them Ferengi.
Another milestone in deductive reasoning.
DNA scans identify him as a guy named Bran, a solicitor.
It's gonna be tougher trying to find someone who didn't want to kill this guy.
Anyway, there are no apparent wounds of any kind. The medical examiner is en route. We'll know more after he examines the feller. Well, until the ME gets here, I want a portable stasis field set up around the body. I want special attention paid to the Vic's hands for particle traces. I also want his lobes scanned for possible foreign DNA. His ears, Detective? He's Ferengi. I guarantee he's had Umox in the last 24 hours. Call it a hunch.
What, you got something against the man dying with a smile on his face?
Looks like your Vic, Mr. Bran, died of a cerebral hemorrhage.
So the lawyer died of natural causes? It's our lucky day. Case closed.
You're not that lucky, and neither was he. He's implanted with a micro-explosive device. He never knew what hit him.
Well, let's find someone who did. What else do we know?
There were traces of tricobalt and serenite diboramide. The prep's original, I'll give him that. Serenite diboramide is a gelatinous chemical agent commonly used to remove scarring on starship hulls, resulting from asteroid strikes. It's rubbed over the scarring and then exposed to mild concentrations of alpha waves. The reaction removes the scarring. To my knowledge, it's never been used in this way. What way is that? As a detonation catalyst. The tricobalt is encapsulated in a very thin metallic membrane, separating it from the serenite. Introduce some alpha waves, and bang!
So basically anyone with a device emitting alpha waves could have set off the explosive implant.
That's about right, but alpha waves dissipate quickly. The perpetrator would have to be fairly close.
So it could have been anyone in that neighborhood. Where do we even begin to look?
Step 1, find the motive. Who is Mr. Bran and who'd benefit from his demise?
Okay, so as usual, I'm starting my day with Bran.
According to a witness, Bran returned to his office at about 16:30 after some slip and fall litigation. It was a Mr. Faz Banaka who also had an office on that floor. Banaka says Bran locked up the office around 16:40 and went out into the street. And then he dropped? That's the funny thing, Captain. Witnesses say he exited the building between 17:07 and 17:12. There's only one flight of stairs between his office door and the street.
Well, maybe that Banaka guy is mistaken.
Security devices in the hallway back him up.
So where the hell did he go for almost half an hour? Why can't we just catch an easy one now and then? Get out there and take a few scans. Maybe there'll be some kind of transporter trace or residual alpha waves. While you're at it, round up all the surveillance records for the time in question. I want to know this guy's entire history. I mean beyond the advertisements.
Sir?
You mean to tell me you guys didn't recognize your Vic? For compensation, he's your man? He's that guy?
Still doesn't ring a bell.
Are you sure you guys are detectives?
Yes, sir, that's the rumor.
Welcome to Feature Request. This is a sad but special feature request as I must say goodbye to PrimetimeUGC. My last and final feature request is one of a personal nature. When Star Trek Online was green-lighted for Cryptic Studios, I knew it would change and influence my life, but I never could have dreamed that it would not only help me find my life goals, but connect with so many amazing individuals like yourselves, many of which I can only fathom how Star Trek Online has influenced your personal free time, as well as your occupations and dreams. Then there is Foundry, probably the only and best current game content on the market that allows you to experience and create all kinds of media on a professional, introductory level. With the help of Starbase UGC, we have all had the opportunity to produce media mediums such as journalism, publicity, posters, trailers, films, TV, animation, graphic design, gaming Q&A, and tutorials, just to name a few. And the community is always constantly growing. I myself have started working towards a Bachelor in Media due to this tool. Some of you have even gone on to work for gaming companies such as Cryptic. So, as my final farewell to Primetime UGC and the Stoke community, my feature requests are as follows. Multiple objectives, the ability to customize the complete all bar, the ability to rotate an object along the y-axis, standard NPC boss designated as a way team or crew for tech, engineer, and science, a Foundry-only sector block, more editing tools and functionality for demo record, and finally, most importantly, a Star Trek Online hosted Foundry Mission social network, or an official link to Starbase UGC on the Star Trek Online homepage. So, I bid farewell. You have been and always shall be, my friends. Thank you all, and I'll see you out there.
This week, I'm chatting up one of my good friends at Starbase UGC. He's the author of 6 missions, all on the Fed side. What is special is that 5 of the 6 missions are a continuing storyline that has enjoyed a good measure of success. The series is entitled Spawn of Medusa. Welcome, please, the one and only Duke of Rock.
Hi, folks. Thank you.
How long have you played Star Trek Online, and how much of that time has been in the Foundry?
Let me see. Today, I think it was officially 776 days. I checked it because I'm looking for that famous 800-day reward. Foundry, probably a little over a year now, maybe. I didn't get into it right off the bat. I was a little intimidated by it, and then I found Kirk Fat's tutorials and kind of studied those for a couple weeks, and after that, just fell into loving it. Enjoyed it.
Excellent. Would you say that you are a Star Trek fan more than you are a gamer?
Absolutely. Always have been. Grew up with the old series, so basically ever since then it's had me.
Yeah, I know the feeling. What series has inspired you the most, you think?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, when I was young and the old series was on, that's when it was still fresh. I mean, I'm an old guy. I'll be 50 this year. You know, we used to build the model phasers and enterprises and things like that. And then when the next generation came out, I wasn't quite sure at first, but then enjoyed it. But as far as stories, I really like the Voyager and the Delta Quadrant. And I'm a big 7 and 9 fan, I must admit.
Yeah, that's interesting. A lot of people have a lot of disdain for Voyager. I don't know why. I mean, to me, my motto is there's no such thing as bad Trek on TV.
I agree
I don't
with
care
you.
what series it is.
There are
I
bad
just like
episodes.
the imaginativeness of being in the Delta Quadrant, and I really like the Borg storyline as well.
So do you like Voyager, but do you like Janeway?
Yeah, I mean, I can live with her. She gets on your nerves sometimes, but you see 7 and 9 on the bridge too, and you kind of forget about Janeway.
All right, we'll ask you a
Big
more.
Jerry Ryan fan.
Oh, I can't blame you there. For Spawn and Medusa. Now, it's a 5-part series. Did you have the entire storyline in your head from day one, or did you develop it each time you made a mission?
No, I kind of developed it as I went along. Came up with the first part of it as I built it. I don't really have my missions built or written out. I just kind of get into it and go with it and decide think of something I want to do with it and kind of go that route with it. And it just kind of developed as I went along with it.
That's a familiar theme. A lot of times it's a map that will inspire a certain story idea or story change. It's interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Who do you write your missions for?
Uh, just anybody who'll enjoy them, and I just like people to enjoy them. Basically, I mean, I never really got into the writing part. I mean, I wrote essays and things like that in school and enjoyed doing that, but never really got into fictional. And then when I had that opportunity with the Foundry, it just kind of started flowing out of me. I really enjoyed it.
Good. Well, I was going to say, lately you've been writing a lot. You've got a steady column of reviews. When did you decide to do that?
Well, I mean, that was Kurt Fett was looking on Starbase UGC, and I really enjoyed doing it. I took creative writing and stuff like that in school, but I really enjoy playing Foundry missions, and I try to do it in a way where I'm not spoiling, but kind of give my own feel on how I enjoy the mission and how others might enjoy it. Basically, I think is the way I'm looking at it. I don't like to get on there and give all the spoilers and tell the maps and do things like that. I try to keep it pretty general, pretty simple, basically tell the format, that kind of a deal. Try to, get others to try the missions because there's some decent missions out there, no doubt.
A lot. It's too bad we don't have a better way of wading through them.
Yeah, this is true.
Maybe someday.
Yeah.
But a lot of talented, popular authors have gathered at Starbase UGC. How did you end up as part of that community?
Uh, Basically, I saw it on from the Kirk Fact tutorials is when I first started going in there. And then I went into the chat, and I've never really been one for chat rooms. I started going in there and meeting you guys and some of the folks in there and just, fell into the crowd. I just love it. Just great people in there. A lot of inspiration and just a lot of fun to talk to different people from different parts of the world, especially. That's really exciting to me.
Yeah, it is
Now
great.
I've got friends in Australia and Germany and Great Britain and, Europe, the whole bit. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I think you're one of the few Americans that I know in there.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, we're East Coasters, too. We're both East Coasters.
That's true. We're in the same time zone, which is you're the only one, I think, and cast too, I guess. If you could add one feature to the Foundry right now, what would it be?
I would think it would be the ability to control the NPCs a little bit easier, a little bit better as far as beaming them in, beaming them out, bringing them with you on part of the mission. For example, like they do in the Kuvama mission.
Right.
When you get going, she follows you around and fights with you, and then you interview her at the end. The ability to have an NPC accompany you and then beam out, things like that. Whereas right now, we're kind of locked in. We can talk to them, but they pretty much stay where they're at. You can't officially beam them out without some kind of fancy effects.
Right.
I did that in Spawn of Medusa, the first Spawn of Medusa, where
I
I
remember. Yeah.
pulled them out of the cages with a little bit of steam and then kind of zoomed them in that way. But I think that would really be a neat feature to have, to do something like that. And then, of course, always, anything you can do with the NPCs, I think, would improve our overall abilities.
Do you have anything new you're toying with right now?
Yeah, I'm working on a new one. I'm going to try to make it a surprise. I'm kind of trying to blend in another sci-fi not a series, but a sci-fi story. And I'm not going to use the story in general, but I'm using an idea from it, and I'm going to kind of try to mix the two. And it's going to involve some Borg, so it ought to be a pretty interesting mission when I get done. It's going to take me a little while to get it done with everything I'm trying to build on it.
Nice.
So it may be a little while. I am also playing. I'm going to be doing a daily mission. I'm going to put out. Hopefully, I'll have that out within the next week. It's going to be to repair the Argus array.
Oh, nice.
Basically, that I love that map that I built for Spawn Medusa 4, and
Oh, yeah.
and it takes some damage in Spawn Medusa 5. So I figured, why not make a little easy daily mission where somebody get in there and do a daily and repair the damage done in Part 5. That's my little spoiler there.
Duke, have you done UGC before?
No, never had before.
Never
And,
had.
Yeah, just it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that, and it kind of inspired me too, because I've got my little story that I wrote. I've got in caps bar on the G&T website, which I've got 11 chapters, and I got to finish. I've got the 12th and 13 chapters, but I haven't finished them, and I'm just need to finish it, and then I'll be done with that whole daggum story. But basically, it's a little story I wrote about my whole character, which I try to implement him into some of my Foundry missions occasionally as well. So. But I just never had done anything user-generated like that. It's just amazing to me to have that technology now. Being an older guy, to me, Star Trek Online was my first MMO. I have two boys, and they both play Medal of Honor and all these other MMOs. And, it was my first. My wife, the day she got it for me for Valentine's Day, was like, oh, God, what have I started?
So to think about it, you probably wouldn't have played an MMO at all.
I
had it
probably
not
wouldn't
been
have.
a
I
Star
played
Trek
online poker
MMO.
occasionally, not for real money or anything like that, and game, Scrabble games, things like that. But I had never got into that. But once Star Trek came out, to me, it was really, wow.
Same with me. I never would have done it. I never would have, because there was nothing out there that I was very interested in. But if you throw Star Trek
Yeah,
into
that's
it,
me. Yeah,
forget
I'm
about it.
passionate about Star Trek, no doubt. Always have been.
Duke, what male captain would you turn gay for?
Ugh. I don't know if I ever would.
And my other question you can answer as yourself or as your avatar. If you had to mate with a certain species, which one of these five would it be? A Ferengi, Cardassian, Xindi, 8472, or Hirogen?
Yeah, I know that's a difficult. So I was waiting for you to say Orion Slave Girl.
Nah, not saying it.
Yeah, I know that would have been too easy, wouldn't it? I don't know. Cardassian would have been kind of interesting sounding. They kind of had some real brutal, mean-looking women. I think that would probably be the one if I had to choose. Never seen a Hirogen woman, actually.
No, I don't think I have either. Was there any other ugly species I could think of?
We thank you, Duke. It was an honor having you here on Primetime UGC. We hope you come back and visit us again.
All right, man. I appreciate you having me. It was an honor.
We hope you enjoyed our conversation with the one and only Duke of Rock. We'll be back with more right after these words.
Block. Strike. Oh, by the sword of Kalis. Wake. Wake, little warrior. You should have taken that batak in 4 moves. Ah! What? Klingons don't fly. Stop it right now. Wait a minute. Did you have a meal this morning before the contest?
No, Father.
No? Foolish child. That is why you failed. You must eat a good meal to keep your strength up and be alert. Come, I have just the thing. Kellogg's Rock Bites, the live cereal that contains all the nutrients a growing Klingon warrior needs. And they taste great too. Why, we've had rocked bites from the house of Kellogg around our table for generations. Why, 1 bowl of this, and you'll be able to ground your friend out there into dust. You will have your vengeance, my little warrior. And remember the proverb, revenge is a dish best served cold, and Rock Bites is a cold cereal. It is a meal fit for Kalis himself, and it's part of an honorable breakfast. Now go out there and gut your enemy.
You may not recognize me, but I hold the record for the longest consecutive win streak in dueling history. Don't feel bad, it happens all the time. When I'm eating at my favorite restaurant or charging goods and services all over the Alpha Quadrant and beyond. Let's face it, there are some malevolent species out there and they just don't trust me. But they do trust this, the Andorian Express card, known throughout the quadrant as a symbol of prestige. It's not just a charge card, it's a status symbol that says I'm somebody, and it's accepted on planets galaxy-wide. You may not be from my homeworld, but nothing says you've arrived like Andorian Express. Even when my opponents fail to realize what they're in for, it's easy to remind them. I'm Shrek, and I've taken the lives of 16 men, a career that screams excellence, just like my card, Andorian Express. Don't Ushan without it. Welcome to this edition of Foundry Essentials. This time around, I'm going to cover a basic subject that when used properly can make the difference between an average map and a great one. Many Foundry authors, especially newer ones, tend to use pre-made space maps in their missions. That's fine, but with the tools available to build custom space maps, why use a map that players have already seen? Your mission could be a standout by customizing all the details yourself and creating something unique. Let's get started. Opening our Maps tab, we're going to click on Create Map. As usual, we're going to choose a space map, but this time we'll click the Custom button. Of course, we have to give it a name. Let's let our imagination soar and call it Custom Map. Now that you have it, it's a blank space map with a spawn point. It's a canvas just yearning for your genius to create a beautiful vista or a foreboding nebula filled with dangerous anomalies and ion storms. It's up to you. This time it's actually up to me, but you get the idea. Let's take a look at this empty expanse as the before image. Okay, down below the blank map there is a Customize button. We'll go ahead and click it. You have two elements to work with, but there are many choices. First is the new sky layer. Personally, I like to keep things complementary color-wise, so I'll try to use elements of a similar hue. That's not a hard and fast rule by any means, it's just my way. The second element is the New Object button. It should just say, Add a Sun, because that's all it really is. You can pick the color and size of the existing sun or add a new one. It's a cool feature, I use it a lot. Controlling the parameters of the sun has a definite effect on the look of your map if you decide to click on the lighting checkbox. You can give shadow casting abilities as well as lighting to a new sun. Pay particular attention to ambient in the parameters. That determines what color objects will be in their shadowed areas. At least that's how it appears to me. You can achieve some very cool lighting effects this way. Of course, that's just the empty map. You have plenty of details and planets to choose from, as well as the usual nebula, weather elements, asteroids, etc. Okay, let's put together a simple custom map. For the purpose of this tutorial, I've sped up the video 300%. I'm making choices of planets and adjusting the y-coordinate to set them at varying altitudes. Space is 3D, remember that. There's nothing worse than entering a custom map and every asset is on a flat plane. The map may be beautiful but makes no sense. Mix it up, be creative. I mentioned earlier that I stay with complementary colors, and again, you don't have to. I'm choosing my favorite color, red, for my environment. There are different shades and styles. We'll see how they all look together. I'm also using asteroid fields, though Foundry calls them debris. Before we have a look, there is one element I've neglected to mention, and that's sound. There is a sound button that you can click and it will bring up a menu of different ambient sounds. There are several to choose, including various ship noises. You'll have to keep previewing the map to hear the difference, as there are no previews to these sounds, like there are thumbnails for the visual details. Alright, I think I'm done. Let's see the red planetary system that I've created. Now that's what I call red. As you can see, the elements are spread out and make use of the 3D environment. Pay particular attention to the underside of the ship. It's the purple ambient color I chose when detailing the sun. Wow. I think we'll rename the map the Hell System. Hope this tutorial was helpful. This has been Foundry Essentials on Primetime UGC. Welcome to Published in Primetime, where we list the new missions you submitted to us over the last 2 weeks, either through our email or the Promote Your Foundry Mission forum post on the Star Trek Online website. As usual, the Federation faction has several new offerings, beginning with Treasure of Argelius 2, Part 1 by Captain Hunter, Enemies of All Kinds by Aquilus Corvus, Deep Space Danger by Carbon Grip, Forget Me Not by Sovereign 77X, Breen Invasion of Defera Beta by Alui, Becoming the Enemy's Friend by Logitech 007, Untamed Energy by SVA 88, Sylphine Ego by JustX13, The Needs of the Few by Kirkfat, and finally on the Fed side, Happiness is a Warm Gorn by me, Captain P.F. Dennis. And yes, I found the time. Now on to the KDF side, where there are just 2. Time the Ally by Havraha, and Mind Games by Bazag. That's it for this episode's Published in Primetime. If you'd like to have your mission read out on the show, just drop us a line at mailbag@primetimeugc.com or go and post it in the STO forums under the Promote Your Foundry Mission thread. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode. See you again in 2 weeks. Good night now.